Before we proceed, I would like to recap what Venerable Dr. Zi Yue said just now. He first started with the Four Noble Truths, and she emphasized that the only thing that we can control is how we respond. And she spoke about ways to work towards equality. And he gave us a lot of facts to let us see the equality in Buddhist Sangha, especially in Fo Guang San. Next, we are going to proceed with the Q&A sessions that ladies and gentlemen posted in Slido just now. And for the questions that are directed to Venerable Dr. Zi Yue, you may go to Slidos and try to post your questions, or just give a like to the question that you wanted our speakers to answer. And we are going to ask them and let them answer. Our first question that we are going to ask is directed to Dr. Lai Wan Ting, which is, how can Malaysian women ensure career advancement with family commitment? Is there any other country as good examples? Perhaps when Dr. Cherwis can give us some examples from Australia later to add in. Is it possible for Malaysia to follow suit? So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Lai Wan Ting to answer. Dr. Lai Wan Ting say, please unmute me. Can our crew please unmute Dr. Lai Wan Ting? I see Dr. Lai Wan Ting still in a mute mode. Perhaps our crew do so. Yeah. Hi,
thank you so
Wan Ting.
Hi. Thank you for
so this question is directed to you. Yeah,
very excellent questions. Thank you for that.
So this question is directed to you. So try to answer.
Very short, right? Okay. Short time given. So I think that there are several aspects that we can look at in terms of helping women for their career advancement as well as for their family commitments. If you ask me about the countries that, if you look at the report GGGI, the first countries that who has done the best for the 11 years is Ireland, and then Sweden, and even Germany. But can you also ask another important questions? Can we follow suit like what they have done? I think that partially could be we can borrow some good practices that they have done. However, I think the very importantly for Malaysians or Malaysia context is also the mindset. First example, first important highlight is regarding the parenthood or childbearing or child choice. Can men come in and join? They have this friend? Do they have this mindset that this is not only the work of my wife or my mother? It is something that I must share. I must take initiative. I need to that kind of mindset. I have to change first, and this has been the feminists or the NGOs have been talking about this for a long time. And secondly, the work flexibility in terms of working hours is also very important for women to juggle between their career and also their family commitments. And this is not only for women but also for men, because men also need to take flexible hours in terms to take care of the children, and not only leaving it to their my wife will take flexible hour and me I remain the same. No way, this is not the way forward. And one example, very short one, is currently USM is coming up with initiating this first gender equality and family friendly work policy, which we want to provide a very friendly policy first. I mean, we have collected like different voices or opinions from different groups of staff, admin staff, academic staff, to see that what do they think the most important for if we want to have this policy. So these are several ways that we can work together, that must be a commitment also from the management, from the employer, from the government, and policy in place and the practices and the monitoring mechanisms. Those are all very important. Easy to say than done. I will leave it first now. I will end now for my session. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lai. One thing, yeah. So the question is, wait. The question is, how can Malaysian women ensure career advancement? I think you are the best examples, and you are so, you have achieved your PhD while you see, in Malaysia. So next questions is, before we proceed to the next question, is there anything that whenever Dr. Yue you need to add on? I mean, same of this question as well, but is there any information that you can provide us that is related in the career advancement in Australia?
Okay, so I think this is also quite related to another question that's posed to me. So why don't I just answer them together? So one of the questions posted to me was the solution. Sorry? Okay. One of the questions posted to me were the solutions or methods we can apply in our lives as a Buddhist for the gender inequality in our family, workplace, or society. So I'd like to answer these questions together to say that it is important for us to earn our place, and that gender equality or these, although they are right, but in today's society, we will have to work for it. I want to just list an example. I used to pick up trash on the street just behind Nantian Temple where I stay. And when I was picking up trash on the street, there are different kinds of reaction. One time, I had somebody coming up and throwing trash at me and saying, "Why are you so silly picking up trash?" And they just keep throwing trash at me. Other times, I've received people spitting at me. But all I know is that I'm doing this because I want my neighborhood to be clean. As a result, if you just keep persisting doing this, I have now earned trust from my neighbors who come along and say, "This is a good job. Next life, I want to be a Buddhist." So there are all kinds of different possibilities. And what it has taught me is the gift. Venerable Master Xing Yun told us that whatever we do, we must be kind towards others. And there are also, we have to be generous towards others. So consider it to be a gift. Let's earn our trust and work for it. So we use whatever platform we have available to us in order to give. Hope that helps.
All right, thank you, Venerable Dr. Yue. And the next question that I'm going to ask is, Buddhism gender inequality practices are heavily influenced by the culture of the country. Will there be a conversation between different Buddhist sects to avoid? This question is directed to Dr. Lai Shuat Yen. So perhaps Dr. Lai Shuat Yen could give us some brief information about, will there be any conversation between different Buddhist sects to avoid the Buddhism gender inequality? Dr. Lai Shuat Yen, please. We can't hear you, Dr. Lai Shuat Yen, because yeah, it's still mute.
Sorry, I think I unmute myself already done. Okay,
Yeah,
apologies
yeah.
for that. Yeah, I was saying just now that I'm a firm believer in having dialogue or in having discussion. Also because sometimes in society, in many society, we tend to say that this is sensitive, that is sensitive. And due to that, we never discuss it. But when we don't discuss it, it doesn't mean that the problem will go away. It's just that it will be simmering underneath, right? Until it erupts one day. So what I will focus on is actually the attitude that we bring to discussion or conversation. Whether we do it in the spirit of respect, right? Rather than the spirit of non-respect. So I think it's very important for us to start from the spirit of respect and also trying also to see from the other point of view. And if we can do that, I'm sure no matter what, somehow we would be able to find a middle point somewhere, or at least to reduce the tension that there is that is already there. So I believe very much on that.
Okay,
Probably comes with a lot of patience, huh?
Yes, of course, patience and whatnot. Even in my teaching, right? I actually one day I realized how teaching is actually require lots of patience, and I will share with you this since Venerable Jerry mentioned it as well. I actually once told my student, I said, I like my classroom to be interactive because I also want to know where you are, or where you all are at. No point if I just give lecture a one-way street, right? So I encourage them to speak, and I say, be confident. It's okay. No question is stupid for me. Feel free to ask anything you want. That is before the question came, and after the question came, I'm like, oh dear me, how could you ask that? Oh, and I was like, hey, you told yourself you'd be patient, right? Remember what you said. And actually, I find that in being an educator, I learned the meaning of patience itself. So yeah, and of course, in any dialogue, patience is very important, because we know that change, even for ourselves, right? When we want to change a certain bad habit, I've actually tried to change. I notice myself. I notice the beauty in myself, but I also notice the imperfection, right? And when I want to try to change, I notice how hard or how difficult it is for me. So it's the same sense. When we enter into a dialogue with another person, know that it's actually very hard to change, because it's actually habits, condition, just like the inequality that Venerable Jue was saying, it's conditioned, from a long, long time. So in a sense, patience is actually super, super important, yeah, for us when we enter into a dialogue or a conversation, because change is typically gradual rather than overnight.
That's right. And I think compassion is also very important.
Sure.
Having compassion towards all the others who are making life difficult for us. They have their conditions as well.
Yes.
And it's for us, as you say, that's mutual respect, and step into the other person's shoes and realize that stupid question that came to you came from conditions.
Yes, and they are at different place, I need to honor that kind of thing. That's what it was like. Oh, okay. But it's good, it's like I can only truly say I'm patient when I've actually been put to the test. I think that's the mark of what patience means.
Yes. All right. So thank you, Dr. Lai Shet-Yen. So indeed, the patience is very important in our job as educators. And we are going to proceed with the next question that going to be directed to be Dr. Lai Wan-Ting. Dr. Lai, could you please tell us what are your views on human rights and how does that apply to women today? So can you please share about your thought about your views on human rights, perhaps?
Yeah, thank you for that questions. And as I highlighted in my presentations, I said that women's rights are human rights. All these rights are not something extraordinary, but it's something very important for women and for a better society. And how do I apply let me. So I guess that I'm just looking for the questions again. Okay, how does that apply to women today? Ensure the equal rights for women, and especially thank you, Yen, for emphasizing that again. It doesn't mean that you need men or women to behave as good or as smart or like a leader, the same quality, characteristic as men. But you see that from what are the barriers for them to achieve, equal opportunity, but where are their starting point? What are their barriers in order to get career advancement? For example, for women, we have this biological clock. So you have to choose, or women have to choose between giving birth and continue with PhD or dropping out from PhD. So, but for men, you don't have this problem. Even though you're doing your PhD, everything is being well taken care of by someone. So for women, how do we support women in terms of when they are doing their PhD? They just leave them doing their work. Tell them that you have free choice. You want to do lah. You don't want to do, don't do. No. Is that whether it is their policy or for supporting their children childcare facility for them, so that their children can be sent to somewhere that they feel they don't need to worry about their children, then they can go for their study, pay attention to their study. These are many aspects that are largely being ignored or being overlooked in this society, because men, I'm not men here, don't feel offensive, because I think many good men are very sensitive. They know that how help step in to help women. They are also feminists here. They are also wanted to see changes in the society for betterment. But a lot of time need to listen to women's voice, involve them. Also in terms of in position, in leadership positions, they are very good, excellent leaders. But they also notice that most of the time, like research done in community level, B40 group, they told us that I'm not afraid of becoming a leader in this community. But do you know that the teenagers, even teenagers, male teenagers, do not listen to me? So how can I perform even though I know I have that quality? So that kind of culture, that kind of how perspective, or how they have been trained or constructed to see women's roles. This all related to mindset. This all related to education. This all related to gender awareness. The huge work that we need to do. So I just give a few examples. Thank you.
Thank you, Wan Ting. So indeed, we can see our women in this career as well, and about your human rights. So as you can see here, we are 4 of us here. I mean 4 of us, which are moderators and as well as the speakers, and 3 of you are the women, and 3 of you are the doctorates, and I am the man without the doctorates. I think I will go and get one very soon. Okay, next question is directed to Venerable Dr. Zi Yue. Okay, there are more precepts for nuns than monks. Will there be many challenges for a lady to be ordained, and how do we overcome those while holding the strong faith towards Buddhism? Perhaps our Venerable Dr. Zi Yue can give us some explanation.
Oh, I know. This is really tough, isn't it? Every time people talk about ordination and they'll say, look, nuns inferior. That's why they have to take more precepts. You know, when I went through the ordination, I never thought of it that way. It has never really occurred to me that there is much difference. And I believe that since young, I've learned this. When I was very, very young, I live in a family of many, many grandchildren, and I'm a young girl. I'm never the apple of my grandmother's eyes. So as a result, I never get any attention. But because I don't get any attention, I have a lot more time to read my books and study and do well in school. So it's up to us to make the best use of the conditions given to us. So now today, when I'm never given attention for whatever reason, I'm pretty comfortable where I am. I make the best use. So sure, we have a longer ordination ceremony than the monks. Better yet, I can be in the shrine longer than the monks. Isn't that great? I'm with the Buddha longer. Then I have more rules to follow, even better, right? I can be seen as more virtuous. Or the other way to look at it is that monks or nuns, it doesn't matter, because it is about our bodhicitta. We are here to serve, whether we are monastic or we are lay, whether we are men or women. As long as our intention is to serve all beings, as long as our intention is to bring happiness to the world, to reduce suffering in the world, what does it matter? So back to our intention. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Zi Yue, for your explanation. So we hope that we will have more people working on this path towards spreading the humanistic wisdom towards the world. So next, we are going to wrap up our session today. Why not we give time for our 3 speakers to just give one ending phrases or one or two ending sentences that you're going to wrap up about what we are going to share with our audience today. Why we can start with Dr. Lai Shuat-Yen, perhaps. You need to unmute yourself, Dr. Lai Shuat-Yen.
I will use that time to answer the last question that was given to me because I wanted to honor the participant for taking time to be here, right? And the question was, would I mind sharing the Bhikkhuni monastic in Indonesia, the fact that they are in an Islamic country? I think very often, what we expect is not actually the situation. The threat or the condition, the difficulty that the Bhikkhuni monastic face is not because it's in an Islamic country. It actually comes from the Buddhist authority themselves. It's actually the Buddhist authority that does not recognize female monastic ordination, because when they don't recognize it, that they actually also call their supporters not to support it. And I'm sure you know, based on the presentation that was done just now, if you don't have supporters to support you, actually, you cannot. It's very hard to maintain being a female monastic. Right? Yeah. So the threat is actually, or the problems actually come from within the monastic one. And secondly, also, I also like to share, even in Malaysia or in many countries, when we talk about racism, things like that, it's the people on the ground, they're actually very friendly, because when you go to the temple, the monastic Ayah Santini, I went to a temple. Her temple is actually in a very mountainous area. And the surroundings are all Muslim people. And she never had one single problem with them, right? Because it's actually mutual respect, and I would also say Venerable Ayah Santini actually reach out to them as well. When there's need, they would donate the necessities, When there's actually natural disaster, they will actually move as a group, and they get the supporters to go out and help the community regardless of their race and religion. And I think people see that. People see your compassion. People see your sincerity. So in a sense, in the ground, there's not an issue until, of course, the election, when politicians choose to racialize issues. Yeah, I think that would be my response. And thank you for all the great questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lai Shouyan, for your response. And next, we are going to proceed with Dr. Lai Wan Jing. Is there anything that you want to tell our audience?
Yeah, I'm also really excited when I read all the questions that are addressed to me. So thank you so much for your questions, even though I cannot address all and everyone questions. And I'd like to also address this question: what would be the opposite of a feminist? And to me, I like to share that whenever my friends, colleagues in USM, they heard that I'm from Kanita, they will tell me that, oh, you are different. So the point is, I'm not different. And what the point I'm here also because I want to share that we are all human and we want a better society that give equal rights to men and women, especially women. So you are one of us, or if I would say, if you want a good society, a better society, you are one of us. Even though feminist is a label, just a label. If you don't want to take it, no problem. It's okay. But your intentions matters, like one of our speakers say just now. And what are the main school of thought? To me, maybe other speakers may be different. For me, the main talks of the prominent now in Malaysia, I would say liberal. Because they are asking for change in terms of law, that kind of advocacy work is being done. And what else that I'd like to share is that so happy to see many of you, and I hope that in the future we still have opportunity to meet again. And I also like to say thank you to the organizer and to the very patient team. Thank you so much for all this hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for Dr. Lai Wan Jing for your time and for your contribution to this online forum as well. Next, well, last but not least, we are going to invite our Venerable Dr. Yue to tell us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pang. And I'd like to just follow on from everybody to say that thank you very much. I'm so grateful for this opportunity and the ability to now meet two new friends, the two Drs. Lai and also now Mr. Pang and the fabulous technical team behind, and everybody online as well. I'm very, very grateful. And I know that in life, we will all face adverse situations, whether it's because of our gender or our race or our ideas. There will be adverse situations, and we consider this as part of life. This is what the Buddha says. Life is filled with all these unsatisfactoriness. But there's only one thing we can control, and that is how we respond. It is not possible for us to change things overnight, but how we respond will determine how we turn the wheel so that changes can take place. I always see myself as a little cog wheel, so small, so tiny. I cannot change the big wheel out there. But if I can inspire all the other little wheels beside me to turn in the same direction, then together we can turn a medium wheel. And with that medium wheel, we can turn the big wheel. And the idea behind it is that we want to turn it so that we can reduce suffering for all, not just for myself, but really for the greater good. And for that, I hope that we all can come together and turn the big Dharma wheel for the greater good. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Jie Wei. I believe all of us will join and we turn the wheels, Dharma wheels together. Yeah, so with that, I would like to conclude where today we have our three speakers with us today. We start with Dr. Lai Wan-ting. She spoke with us about gender inequality, what, why, and how. And Dr. Lai Shuat-Yen spoke about with the gender equality in Buddhist society. And last but not least, our Venerable Dr. Jie Wei spoke about knowing about equality, living with inequality, working towards equality. Thank you for the time and for the hard work for three speakers to be with us today. With that, I would like to thank you and pass the time to our MC of the day.